Okay, this is my third time trying to record this video because I'm half asleep and like delirious. It's 4 a.m. Just did like 10 hours of UPS. You see a nice little bag under my eye there. I got the sleep in my belly. Hungry. But I was just thinking about, I kind of answered one of my own questions about why UFC is starting to seem so WWE-ish. And I think that's because, you know, it UFC recently, in the past couple of years, kind of graduated from like a, almost like an underground fight club where you had to be in the know. Not too many people, a lot of people still don't know that much about MMA or UFC in general, but, now they're got a much wider audience. They went from Spike TV to the Versus Network to, FX and Fuel all the way to Fox 5. So that's a pretty big leap. So, you know, let's say 5 or 6 years ago, you had to just know when the pay-per-view was, and they only had one like every month, or one every 2 months, and people didn't know who any of these fighters were unless you were an MMA fan. I watched the first couple UFCs myself, but I didn't really become involved till like the early 2000s, 2002, 2003, somewhere in that neighborhood, watching a lot of Pride, whatever UFC was on, K1, stuff like that. But now UFC is getting a much broader fan base, and for example, Anderson Silva is set to face off Stephan Bonner. Granted, that fight was kind of thrown together due to injuries, if I'm not mistaken. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But, I think the reason for all these injuries, because it's been happening a lot lately, a whole lot of fights have been canceled due to injury. And I think the reason for the injuries is that people are fighting at such a high level and training at such a high level that, shit like that's bound to happen. And whereas back in the day, a lot of guys fought injured. I mean, I'm sure a lot of these guys are fighting hurt, like they're not feeling 100%. I'm sure they're sore. Sometimes you can even see visible, like, marks on their face and stuff. But, like Rampage said, he fought his last couple of fights with a hurt knee. I think a lot of people are abandoning that school of thought, and also the UFC doctors are probably just plain not allowing it, which I guess is a good thing. But for us as real fans, it's a pain in the ass. Whatever fight that we are expecting to see, now 50% of the time it just plain doesn't happen. Last couple events, it's been even more than that. It's just been crazy. It's becoming, almost, like it's just crazy. And um, for the new audience people who, if you're maybe watching this, or you know, watching Stephan Bonner more than likely get this ever sweet loving shit beat out of him by Anderson Silva is entertaining, and it'll be entertaining to me too. But it's not, I want to see him fight John Jones, or GSP, or whoever, Chris Weidman. That kid's going places, by the way. But I want to see him fight somebody like that. Someone who's uneducated to the sport, or to the people. That's entertaining, but I don't know. I mean, we're getting a much bigger fan base, and it's good for the fighters. It's good for everybody. It's good, like, for the sport itself to blossom and bloom, but at what cost? It's kind of like, we're bastardizing or watering it down for the sake of, it's almost like selling out, I guess. But, I guess, nothing can stay, golden forever. And, like I said, overall it is good. I guess the fighters get paid more, and, you have more than just one friend at work you can talk to about UFC. Or whatever the case may be. But, I hope basically that, UFC starts working on some better pay-per-views, because a lot of the network TV and cable TV shows are actually pretty stacked, and they definitely do that so that they can put on more exciting fights for the fans. But if you're gonna do that, don't give us substandard pay-per-views. Because it's not fair to the people who've been with the sport and following the UFC for a long time, that we get, the people who actually pay for it are getting crappier shows. And we can see through your BS. You can just put whoever the hell in there to fight for people who, just watch it as a form of entertainment, and aren't, involved with any of the, following any of the fighters for years or whatever. So yeah, I guess this is me complaining minimally for once. I'm not really angry. I'm pretty exhausted. But this weekend is UFC 152, Belfort and Jones. My prediction is that Jones will probably win, because Belfort's main line of defense, main line of offense, is, that vicious flurry of punches up the middle, which is damn effective. And if he can time it properly and catch Jones with it, there's a good chance he'll put him to sleep. But the way I see it, Jones is going to use his range to skirt around it and maybe get a hold of him, take him down, or, do one of those fucking funky wackadoo spinning fucking front flip knee strike mofos, or, whatever that silly shit he does. Because, goofy as it is, the shit is effective. But, hopefully Vitor does win. I'm going to bet like $10 on him, just because the odds are so insane that if he does pull off the upset, I'll make a pretty penny off that. But, stay tuned for another video, probably the day after, concerning UFC 152. And also, thank you to Nick Diaz for liking my video talking shit about him. I don't know why he liked it. Maybe just to send a horde of maniacs to curse me out for like 36 hours straight, because that's definitely what happened. But, I appreciate it a lot, because you increased my viewership, and whether I deserved it or not, I am grateful. F and Terrence signing off.